well suggestive. This summit focuses on infrastructure development. As I mentioned to you, we were supposed to be joined by the Railways Minister, Mr. Suresh Prabhu, but unfortunately, the information which we received from his office is that he had to rush to the PMO. There's a very urgent meeting which he has been called for, but he's going to try making it to this session, and maybe in the course of the day. We are in connect with him, and as and on we get the information, we are going to keep you updated. But yes, we were definitely looking forward to his address. It would have given us a very good kickstart, especially when we are talking about infrastructure development. And coming the opening from him, someone who has worked, someone who has proved himself and proved that, yes, from the policy maker side, there can be work in progress and work which has been taken to the completion stage. It would have been a good start to the event, but we'll wait for the message coming from his side. Now, coming back to this, ladies and gentlemen, as a facilitator, would just like to take few minutes of yours to set the context of these discussions which we have. I think all of us stand very clear, and there is a good realization now that if India wants to augment and bring about a speedy revival of its GDP, we want to scale it at a rate of 8 to 9%, which we are aiming at. And then if we want to have the socio-economic growth in this country, which is also inclusive, for that, infrastructure development is going to be the key factor. Moreover, the World Economic Forum has also recognized it. In fact, it is the second pillar of assessment while determining the competitiveness of a nation and the attractiveness to the investor. From the government side, they have been very well crafted, well drafted, very well thought programs which have been laid by the Government of India, whether it is the smart cities, 100 smart cities, or the 500 cities which are going to be revamped under the Amrut plan. We have almost 100% FDI which is now allowed in the construction project. 40,000 crore project we have of the roads. We have various railway projects, the metro rail, the shipping projects which are on, Golden Quadrilateral, the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. We have the budget allocation which has already been done for the smart cities and for the Amrut plan. So with all this, the intent of the government is very clear that yes, we are going ahead for this massive transformation for this country. But if we also look at the December 2014 figures, the number of projects which are stalled, they are to the tune of 8.8 lakh crore. That is somewhere close to 7% of our GDP. Various other projects are still in the pipeline, and some of them have still not seen the light of the day. So when it comes to the project formulation or policy formulation, we are definitely very good at that. But when it comes to implementation, execution, commissioning, and delivering of the project on time and within that budget frame, that is where the challenge lies with us. And when we are talking about building this 100 smart cities and this huge transformation, it's going to be requiring a radical transformation in the way we work, in our efficiencies, in the way our processes, our systems, and in fact, not only the policy changes, but a lot of institutional changes, process changes, system changes, even attitudinal and behavioral changes are the ones which are going to be driving towards framing or building this huge infrastructure, because there's going to be a lot of integration which is going to be required between various stakeholders, between the center and the state, and a lot of collaborations and partnerships, a lot of global experience and expertise also to be invited towards it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be in this summit looking into some of these bottlenecks or challenges which are there. And we look forward to very practical and implementable solutions from all of you, so that we are able to actually lift ourselves from the policy formulation stage and take it more to the implementation stage. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we move ahead with the very first session which we have, the panel discussion. This is Roadmap to Deliver Smart Cities, Positive Collaboration and Partnerships between Center, State and Industries. We are going to be taking some time to settle the stage for the panel discussion. Can I request the hotel people to kindly set the stage for the panel discussion? And ladies and gentlemen, as we are talking about building these 100 smart cities, as we mentioned earlier, a huge challenge lies because these cities are going to be structurally and functionally very different from the cities of today. Probably we are talking about addressing the challenges and the problems which we see in today's cities, which are congesting, choking, unsafe cities, and we are talking about building these cities, livable cities, cities which extend a good quality of life. And then structurally these cities are going to be a big system within which you have many systems, a lot of interoperability between the systems is going to be required, lot of openness, lot of standardization. This comes more a demand of the technology, the ICT infrastructure on which these cities are going to be riding and further operating. And then because, as it was pointed out, many sectors are going to be required, coming together in building these cities, there's going to be a lot of integration which is going to be required towards that end. So how much preparation or how much are we already on ground towards it? What are the elements which are going to be required towards building it? Where's the finance which is going to be coming up, whether it is from the center, the state, the PPP? We are going to be looking into it. We're also going to be looking into the technology which is hugely going to be driving it. We talk about that. What is the smartness which these cities are going to be driving in? So all this we are going to be discussing in this panel discussion. And we have our very esteemed speakers from almost all sectors who are going to be sharing their views and insights into this, from technology aspect to the, of course, that is a digital infrastructure, to the brick and mortar infrastructure, the finance aspect, we all cover in this session. So let me invite our speakers here, but before that I invite the session chair, Mr. Vinayak Chatterjee. He's going to be chairing the session, the chairman of Feedback Infra. Inviting our speakers now, Dr. Sameer Sharma, Secretary, Ministry of Urban Development, Government of India. Dr. Neena Pahuja, Director General, INNET, Deity, Government of India. Dr. R. Mandal, the Senior Advisor, Shri Infrastructure Finance. Mr. Vijay Karya, the Chairman of Ravin Group of Companies. Mr. Arun Lakhani, the Chairman and Managing Director of Vishwaraj Infrastructure. And as we move into the panel discussion, another major challenge will be also, we are not only talking about greenfield projects, but brownfield projects. That's going to be a more challenge. So I think with all our panelists, I hand over to Mr. Chatterjee for the proceedings of the session.
Thank you very much. I suppose we're all mic'd up and ready to go. So the topic is interesting. Roadmap to deliver smart cities. Positive collaboration and partnership between center, state and industries. I think we have a panel which hopefully will reflect different points of view. I'm going to try and make it a little interesting so that each of the panelists don't give boring speeches, which traditionally happens on most panels. I'm actually going to pose a bit of a debate format, which is on smart cities. There are two kind of opinions this country has. There are sorry sir, we're going to provoke you a little bit. Huh? There are two sets of opinions that people have generally on smart cities. The one set is, as the title says, positive, which says great urban rejuvenation agenda of the Naya Sarkar, federal, competitive federalism with each state and the citizens of various cities lining up to have their city declared as a smart city. Government of India setting parameters and guidelines, ownership among the citizens, and ultimately the responsibility where it should lie in a federal structure. To make the city smart is not the center's job. It is the job of the state governments and the city governments and the citizens. So overall, an excellent initiative that 100 cities let 100 flowers bloom and let them shed their fragrance on another 1,000 tomorrow out of India's 6,000 towns and cities. So an excellent initiative of this current government, couldn't have come at a better time and was long overdue. So excellent. Smart cities program, the solution to the times we live in. That's one side of the debate. There are large people in the country who think otherwise. They think it's nothing other than a repackaged JNURM2, 100 crores per city for 5 years is insufficient to repair the potholes in any city. So what exactly is the center doing? First of all, we don't even have a definition of smartness, so anybody can get up and say it's smart. 100 crores per annum for 5 years is 500 crores across 5 years, which is less than the municipal budgets of some of our more richer urban local bodies like Pimpri Chinchwad or Pune or whatever it is. So other than a smart label, it really has no substance, because just a mechanism to dole out 100 crores to 100 identified cities, and nothing more than a repackaged JNURM2, because there also cities were putting up plans and you were funding them. The nuance is different. You are funding projects, maybe you're funding something else. But the critical point is that the 74th Amendment, which requires the cities to take charge of their own destinies, has not yet caught the fancy of the political class, and vested interests remain in terms of allowing cities to flourish or not flourish. So 2 points of view. I'm not saying I'm aligned to either, but in the nature of a debate, I'm going to ask each panelist what he or she thinks of the smart city program. Do you subscribe to the view that it is path-breaking, rejuvenating, and an answer to the times, and well-crafted? Or do you believe, as I said, that it is just a smart tag without really any hope of any great revival of our urban center? I'm going to ask you, sir. We'll move the question and the debate to Mr. Arun Lakhani, CMD of Viswaraj Infrastructure. You are involved in the water sector and you have deep knowledge of cities. So tell us, give us your insights on this whole smart city concept.
Good morning. And like you said in your speech, the smart cities have different aspirational, ideas from various people. It also is depending on, the level of development of the country. In India, like, we are focusing on the infrastructure, but when we see the smart city concept in the developed countries, we see them totally focused on the citizen engagement. So do we do the infra first and then go to the citizen engagement? I think no. We can do it parallelly. And the smart city concept itself, the largest stakeholder, the people, these citizen engagement is somehow missing in, is not what I can see, but which is an essential part if we are to look at any PPP model. Government has been doing a lot of things in the cities, but if you talk of smart cities where there is a participation of private sector. The other thing was, of course, I think, the risk allocations. The basic essence of any public-private partnership is the risk sharing and not just risk transferring to the partner. There are, if we see in urban sector, there are, many examples which are not so successful in the PPP model, versus few successful model. it's very important to see, what model fails and what flies. First thing, of course, is the risk sharing. I mean, there are examples. I mean, like you said, I can share, say, my own experience that if there is a clear will, like say in Nagpur, 24/7 water supply we are doing for the whole city. The volume, our fees are connected to the volume of water billed, collected, and put into the corporation account. So this is something which the private sector should do, and he's capable of doing. So he should take those risks. Similarly, when there was no credible data of the billing, the government agreed to give us, minimum take or pay for 5 years, which enabled the lenders to see the revenue, the revenue stream, and go for the financial closure. So these type of risk sharing and mitigation is the first step. Second thing is, of course, like we all are saying, that from where the money will come, the revenue security itself. If the government, instead of giving, the grants to the smaller urban local bodies where we have a lack of capacity and where the infrastructure is direly needed, if they give some insurance wrap to the private players, probably it can unlock a whole new area of infrastructure development and benefit millions of our citizens. So I think Smart City is a program. 1,000 crore is definitely inadequate, but it's a beginning. I think once this beginning is done, there will be many more, ideas and many more structures and models that will come, forward to add to the kitty and make the cities really smart. But yes, I think it's a good initiative to begin with.
I am now going to ask you another provocative question across the panel, and please give a snappy answer because there are a few more questions to follow. The essence of the smart city scheme, in the IT business, if there is a startup firm, you first gets angel capital, then gets venture capital, then gets PE funding, and then probably goes to IPO. There is a certain chain. If one were to translate this into the smart city concept, what the government of India is doing really is that you are providing the first angel financing. 100 crores to capitalize an SPV. If you take the big towns, it's really angel ka bacha, whatever. So that's really what you're doing, and you're creating a hawa, saying, come on guys, let's get on with it, and let's get all the energy and the creative juices flowing, etc., etc. The bedrock of the smart city economics is, and mentioned from the PM downwards, is that we are going to ask corporate India or corporate sector to participate in building these cities in PPP mode. Now here, the same government recognizes that PPP is its worst down cycle, with complete loss of credibility, with the leading companies of India afraid to even go near the flame called PPP because they've burnt their fingers. Banks are not willing to lend. Past PPP programs in urban infrastructure, whether it has been experiments in water supply or in airport metro lines or etc., have all been rather, shall we say, confusing is a mild word, but has not given confidence. So in a situation where the PPP cycle is expected to reset itself, hopefully, after all that I've said, even if the PPP cycle is reset with risk allocation, renegotiation, regulatory authorities, it's going to take about half a decade. And your entire plan is based upon, if you take a city like Nagpur or Ludhiana or Pune, where the metro rail projects, I've seen some of the feasibilities, a simple metro rail project in a medium-sized city costs anywhere between 10 to 14,000 crores today. That's the extent of financing required in mass rapid transport. You add water, you add, any city requires to make it a smart city not less than 50,000 crores in a period of 10 years. That's a hell of a lot of money that you're expecting from the corporate sector or the private sector in a situation where the credibility of PPP is at its nadir. So do you think, and I'm going to ask the panelists, do you think that this is the biggest risk factor in the smart city project? Over to you, sir. This time I'll go sequentially.
I think the question is like, both ways. First, like you said, there are no goalposts, and there is also, like an inadequate budget probably for a particular goalpost to be achieved. Although, like what just said about the cleanliness and the STPs, I'm optimist. I feel, like in Nagpur we have done a 200 MLD on 100% private funding. Why? Because there is something like this 100 crores every year coming there. So they have a set, revenue stream. So investments can come from private sector. But in this case, yeah, I go with you on this question about no goalpost and not enough money. How do we, how do we measure it at the end of it?
Session. So thank you very much for listening in, participation, and I'm sure you will join me in giving a big hand to the panelists. I hope.
Thank you. We thank all the panelists for clearing a lot of mist around the smart cities and giving insights. I would like to invite here Vidyotma Sharma, the head content of ETH, to kindly present the mementos. We start with the lady, thanking Dr. Neena Pahuja. Thank you, ma'am. Thanking Dr. Samir Sharma. Thanking Dr. R. Mandal. Thanks to Mr. Vijay. Thanking Mr. Lakhani. And a big thank you to our session chair, Mr. Chatterjee.